Commercial mushroom cultivation is becoming a source of income for some small-scale farmers in Kenya. Over the last few years, there has been an increase in the number of farmers venturing into commercial mushroom farming. We sought to find out what it takes to venture into the production of mushrooms commercially. Patrick Kanyi Mushiri, a research scientist from the Jomo Kenyatta Institute of Biotechnology, took us through the process.
So the growing of button mushroom requires the substrate or the cereal straws, the sugarcane bagasse, is composted. Composting takes about 1 month. It is pasteurized, and then you add the seed or spawning. It's incubated for 15 days. You put the soil, the casing soil. It's incubated again for another 15 days. Then it will start fruiting. That's about 2 months after we spawned. The difference between buttons and oyster is that the oyster substrate is not composted. You don't need to compost the substrate. So you just wet the substrate, pasteurize. When it cools down, you add the seed, you incubate for 15 days. By the end of the 3rd week, the mushrooms will have started fruiting. That's the main difference. After you put the spawn, there's a spawn in the substrate, the first stage will be incubation. This is the stage where the spawn is colonizing into the substrate. It colonizes for about 15 days. Then you put the casing soil. It will continue colonizing for another 15 days with the same conditions like the incubation process. Then after another 5 days from the casing period, the mushrooms will start fruiting. The mushroom will be harvested.
During the production of good quality mushrooms, great care is taken to ensure that the spawn or seed that is grown by the farmer is of the highest quality. Because the mushroom is a fungus which does not have the capacity to make its own food, a substrate is needed for the production of mushrooms.
For the production of spawn, we use grain. You can use any grain, maize, wheat, or millet. So this is sorghum. We are using sorghum because we have found it to be very suitable for the production of spawn. So the mushroom is a fungus. It doesn't have chlorophyll like the green plants. So the fungus is not able to make its own nutrients unlike the trees that we see. So we have to make the substrate which has been broken down so that the mushroom can be able to utilize the nutrients. So that's the reason why we need to compost the substrates like the wheat straw, so that the nutrients have been made available, and again we have pasteurized the other unfavorable microorganisms that will be harmful to the production. So composting is you add the water, you add the supplements. Supplements are materials that have more nitrogen than the wheat straw to enable good growth or better production and faster production. So you add water, you turn. It's an anaerobic process. That's why you have to keep turning the starts up to a point where most of these microorganisms have been accumulated and some have been killed, and then you go to the next stage, which is pasteurization, where you kill the harmful microorganisms and you encourage the useful microorganisms that will be helpful in this process at a later stage.
Compost from agricultural waste like straw is also prepared. This is used in the growing of the mushrooms.
Utilization, the growing of mushroom utilizes agricultural waste, and we have a big variety of agricultural wastes in this country. We have cereal straws, maize tubers, we have beans straw, sugarcane bagasse, coffee waste. So practically in every corner of this country you will be able to grow the mushrooms.
The compost is then pasteurized to kill bacteria.
You need to pasteurize the substrate because the substrate is teeming with a lot of microorganisms. Some microorganisms are harmful to the spawn when the spawn is establishing itself in the substrate. So in all the mushrooms you need to pasteurize the substrate to have an effective production process.
Currently, the most common variety of mushrooms being grown in the country is the button mushroom.
The buttons are white. They have a different taste from the oyster mushrooms, and they are the most preferred mushroom in this country because their history. They have been grown for many years. We have seen that button mushrooms has been grown in this country since the 40s. But the oyster mushrooms have been grown. They are very recent. They were first grown in this country in the 80s. So that's the reason why the button mushrooms are more popular than the other types of mushrooms.
The production of mushroom requires little space compared to other crops.
Growing has a big advantage because it utilizes a very little space. Unlike other crops, traditional crops like wheat and maize, mushroom growing utilizes very little space because you only need to build a structure. We have an example of a structure of 20 by 10. We are going to demonstrate that one here at the university. And it can give you up to 266,000 shillings in a year. Unlike the other crops that we grow outside there, mushroom growing is not a rain-fed crop. It's the farmer who controls the climate. So that is one big advantage. RAD in this country is shrinking because of the fragmentation of the RAD, the subdivision. So this leaves mushroom being a very suitable crop because you don't need a very large area. You can also grow mushrooms in urban areas, unlike other crops.
A simple structure is what is required for the production of mushrooms.
The smallest space that you can grow mushrooms is in that 20 by 10. Building that structure can cost you about 50,000 shillings. Then the materials and the other inputs can also cost you another 50,000 shillings. So the smallest mushroom growing unit can cost you about 100,000 shillings. It has been a very successful program because mushroom growing utilizes agricultural wastes. It is not rain dependent, it's not a rain-fed crop because the farmers are able to control the climate in the structures that we have trained them on how to build. The structures are made of simple earth. They can be made of bricks or concrete or stone.
And just like any other crop, there are challenges associated with the growing of mushrooms.
Mushrooms are affected by pests and diseases like any other crop. We have fungal diseases, we have bacterial diseases, we have pests like rats. So all these have their controls, so we are going to train you on how to do that. But to avoid those pests because they could affect your production considerably.
Farmers can, however, undergo training to help them address the challenges associated with the growing of mushrooms.
We have been training farmers. We have trained about 6,000 farmers from the year 2006 to enable them to grow mushroom with ease. We train them on how to grow the button mushrooms, the oyster mushrooms, shiitake, and gandama mushrooms. We recommend that before you start this business, you come and attend. We have courses at the university, short courses, 3 days. They are programmed from January to December. So in this course, we train you on how to grow mushrooms, the composting, the building of the structures. We are going to train you on how to build the structures. We are going to show you how to do the climate control in those structures. The actual preparation of the substrates, we are going to teach you. Also, in this program, we need to train you on how to control the pests and diseases, which will be a problem in the mushroom industry. We are going to tell you or to teach you how to do the marketing of the mushrooms, where to market them, how the prices are, the market intelligence. Then we are also going to train you on preservation of the mushroom because mushrooms are quite perishable. They are perishable and you need to store mushrooms at 4 degrees C for 5 days. We are going to train you on how to do the preservation, the canning of the mushrooms and the drying of the mushrooms. The canning and the dried of mushrooms extend the shelf life to 2 years. So we're also going to train you on some aspects of value addition because you can do value addition in mushrooms. You can add value to other foods using the mushroom products.
The main mushroom markets in Kenya are hotels, supermarkets and grocers in major towns, where people buy mushrooms for as much as 1,000 shillings per kilo, depending on the variety.
Markets for the button mushroom is the most popular mushroom. They sell the mushrooms in supermarkets, in green grocers, hotels and restaurants. and institutions. So all the mushrooms that are grown in this country is marketed locally because the market has not even been saturated for people even to think about the export markets. Yeah, the biggest catchment area is around Nairobi and Mombasa because these are the two main markets. So the catchment area is Kiambu area, Limuru, Ogata, Rongai, River, Machakos, Greater Thika, Gong, all those areas that are dry, the areas are drying the Nairobi is the main catchment area because of the market. We also have markets in Kisumu, markets in Eldoret, Mombasa, Nyeri, and in Nakuru because there are markets and supermarkets and people who consume mushrooms in those small towns. But the biggest markets will be in Mombasa and Nairobi. Mushrooms can be sold as fresh, or they can be sold as preserved, dried or canned mushroom.
Farmers can also form groups to help them find better market for their mushrooms.
The farmers have formed an organization that can lobby for them and can help. And for example, it's called Kenya Mushroom Growers Association. So in this organization, the mushroom farmers meet from all regions. They can be able to lobby for their requirements, and they can be able to fix the prices and all that.
But despite the huge potential, few Kenyans are taking up the cultivation of mushrooms.
Reasons why people are not taking up this mushroom doing business is one, they lack the skills. We encourage people to come to the university to train on mushroom growing, to get the skills and expertise. One of the other reasons, the challenges, is that mushroom is a very expensive product because currently the farmers are growing it on a very small scale. The unit cost is very high. So we are encouraging farmers to join in groups and do the composting and buy materials together so that they can reduce the cost of production, so that the unit costs come down and they will be able to sell mushrooms at a cheaper rate to the supermarkets and the greengrocers and the hotels and industry. That's the only way that you can be able to bring down the cost of mushrooms.
Many people still lack proper skills in production and post-harvest handling of mushrooms.
The mushroom will be harvested for 1 month to 2 months. After you harvest for 1 to 2 months, the substrate you have doesn't have enough nutrition. Mushrooms have utilized all the nutrition, so you can throw away that material and it can be used in the agricultural sector for growing vegetables, and then you start the new substrate again.
Many others are not aware of the nutritional value of mushrooms. Mushrooms are rich in protein, vitamin, folic acid, potassium, and niacin. The button mushroom also has medicinal value. It is said to improve the immune system, alleviate allergy, improve kidney and liver function, and clears toxin from the digestive system. For any information on this program, write to us at features@castv.co.ke. Caroline Tomno, Agriculture in Kenya, CAS TV.